That hard data, looking instead to how people are feeling, becomes all the more important.
And how people feel can actually impact the economy.
If I'm worried about losing my job next year, I might pull back a little bit and tighten the purse strings.
That could affect businesses, which could affect hiring. You get the idea. When Vicki Bogan at Duke looked at the latest survey from the New York Fed, she noticed somewhat mixed findings.
You could say employment expectations improved slightly.
But the survey did show that people think medical costs will increase.
Medical costs are one of the leading causes of bankruptcy for households in general.
Another key takeaway, consumers told the New York Fed that they expect the inflation rate to remain steady over the next year. I'm Carla Javier for Marketplace.
And the environmental group, the National Resources Defense Council, wants more people to use recycled toilet paper. In its latest scorecard, the group gives failing grades again to some of the biggest toilet roll brands, which are largely made by cutting down trees, often in Canada. The NRDC claims that if every American used just one roll of recycled, 100% recycled, it would be like getting 72,000 cars off the road for a year. Now, Whole Foods and Trader Joe's 100% recycled, among some others, did get A+, and the NRDC praised Procter & Gamble for breaking out of the F category finally with its sustainably certified bamboo toilet paper. This is drawn from the NRDC's 7th annual report titled The Issue with Tissue.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Odoo, offering software that provides building blocks for creating a custom software suite. Odoo, what businesses need. And by Bitwarden Password Manager. Bitwarden is built to secure online shopping accounts during the holiday season or anytime. Learn more at bitwarden.com.
There's a battle brewing over who's going to regulate artificial intelligence. Some states have stepped in, but the Trump administration is now trying to head that off. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer reports.
President Trump says he'll sign an executive order this week to establish what he calls one rule on AI. He says too many state rules will keep the U.S. from leading the global AI race. Since there's no broad federal legislation, states have enacted their own laws. The National Conference of State Legislatures says 38 states adopted or enacted around 100 AI measures this year. For example, Oregon prohibits AI from using licensed professionals' titles, such as registered nurse, and North Dakota prohibits people from using AI-powered robots to harass others. It's not clear that President Trump can block these state laws. His executive order could face legal challenges. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
Our producers are Tamar Fagan, Ashley Rodriguez, Ariana Rosas, and Erica Soderstrom. Our senior producer is Alex Schroeder. Our supervising senior producer is Meredith Gerritsen-Morby. In Los Angeles, I'm David Brancaccio. This is the Marketplace Morning Report. From AP.
Good morning. This is meteorologist Russ Murley with your WTJX local forecast for Tuesday. This is the 9th day of December. We'll enjoy plenty of sunshine, an absolutely beautiful day. Upper 80s this afternoon, east to southeast winds at 10 to 20. A few showers, upper 70s tonight. Partly sunny with isolated showers, 87 to 91 tomorrow. Isolated showers, upper 70s tomorrow night. And sunny skies Thursday, but just a small chance of a pop-up shower, upper 80s to near the 90-degree mark. Rip current risk will be moderate again today. Explore the family histories of Terry Crews and Tony Danza on Finding Your Roots, coming up tonight at 9 p.m. on WTJX-TV, Channel 12.
WTJX 93.1, Charlotte, Amalia, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
and good Tuesday morning, and welcome to another edition of Analyze This here on your NPR station in the U.S. Virgin Islands, WTJX FM 93.1 with yours truly, Neville James. Cloudy day in paradise, but paradise nonetheless. Hey, the governor's supposed to be joining me a little bit, and so I'm looking forward to talking with the gov. You know, he went on a trip to the motherland within the last couple of weeks, so we don't talk about that. Talk about some other stuff going on as we close out year 7 of what will be an 8-year stewardship deal with the people of the Virgin Islands. 7 furlongs, looking to wrap up in another 22 days, and then the final furlong starts on January 1. So that's going to be a good conversation. I also got the Rural Clinic joining us at about 9:20. The governor going to be here till about 9:20. And then the remainder of the show, we're going to talk with Aminah Saleem and that leadership group from the Rural Clinic. I believe they got a open house or event or something coming up in a little bit. So, yeah, good show. Enough for today. I did hear on Twitter responding to a hypothetical, right? Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs, they've been to 5 out of the last 6 Super Bowls, won 3 of them. The 2 times they lost, though, they got beat up real bad by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and most recently, this past February, by the Philadelphia Eagles, who, by the way, they kind of sputtering heading to the line. They lost last night. So people are saying, if KC, Chiefs Kingdom, happen to sneak into the playoffs, they could be dangerous because they got that winning pedigree and all that stuff. They're in trouble. Okay. Right now, their record is 6-7. Let me see, that's 13. So they got 4 more games to play. And the teams that are ahead of them, right? Either they're too far ahead, like for instance, you get into the playoffs based on conference records, right? Of course, if you win your division, you automatically qualify. But their problem is, like for instance, the top 2 teams in the AFC East are New England and Buffalo. New England already got 11 wins. So mathematically, they can't even get to New England. Right? Because the most they could win is 10. Kansas City with their record at 6-7 and got 4 more games to play. And then, with respect to Buffalo, Buffalo beat them in the head-to-head. So they would have to win 1 more game than Buffalo. So if Buffalo win 1 more game, because Buffalo is 9-4. Buffalo wins 1 more game and they get to 10. They can't get past Buffalo in the standings. So that puts them at 5th, because the division winner for the South, and division winner in the North, and the division winner in the West. So that actually puts them down to 6th, right? Because they would the division winners automatically get in. So they got 4, and then you got Buffalo already. So that's 5. Then I think in the AFC South, KC don't lose to Jacksonville and Houston on Sunday night. So that's another problem. So you're down to 7th, because they have to win 1 more game than both of those teams, or one of those teams, depending on who win the AFC South. Then in their own division, of course, Denver in that division. Denver already got 11 wins, so mathematically they can't get there. They're in a whole heap of trouble. So all these Chiefs Kingdom, these Patrick Mahomes fans who believe that he's this greatest thing, and It's a team game, man. Depending on one player, any team game is a problem. Ask Michael Jordan how great he was. It wasn't until the help stepped up. So I just shocked at how people still trying to hold out hope for KC, but I understand it in a way. When you win so much, because they've been in every AFC Championship game since 2018 season, and 5 times they win them games. So I understand, the respect for them, but they're in trouble. So it looks like we're gonna have a new representative from the AFC in the Super Bowl this year for the first time since the 2021 season. Let me see who else they got to overcome. That's pretty much it. Indiana started off real hot. Indianapolis. But they gone sour, and then they lost their quarterback over the weekend, Daniel Jones, because of an Achilles injury. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to see how this whole thing pan out. And the real problem for KC is last year, I think they played in like 12 one-score games, which is games that 7 or 8 points or less. And they won like all of them except for maybe one. I believe it's all. This year, they've lost literally almost all the one-score games except for one. So the law averages starting to kick in on them. So we're going to see how this pan out. This time of year, November, December, January, this time of the year is, football and basketball and all that stuff. So paying attention to that as the weather get nice and cool. Now, I know school was canceled yesterday because we were dealing with the WAPA issue. But I believe that has been rectified. I believe school is in session today. If anybody can confirm that, I'd appreciate that. As we wait for the governor to join us, because we would want the students to be in school learning a lesson like we just say. And we don't want them to be missing days and all that because the semester finishing this month. It ain't like in the past when you'd come back after Christmas and wrap up the first semester. The law has been changed and we wrap up semester in December, and when we come back January, we start fresh with the second half of the school year. Of course, I'd like to take some credit for that. They had beat up on me for bringing that legislation. Actually ran me out the legislature in 2012 because of it. Only to come back and pass it. Right? But that's how politics is. You ain't feel no way. We just want what's right and what we believe is best for the children. In particular, the juniors, the sophomores and juniors and seniors. Because they got some internships for sophomores and juniors. And then for the seniors, you want them to be looking at preparing for transitioning. Now, a lot of students, when we were in school, like 85, maybe 90% of them were leaving the territory to go to mainland institutions. No, that's not the case. UVI, has stepped up. By the way, I'm supposed to bring on UVI, I had a conversation with Malik Siku. I'm supposed to bring them on so we could talk about something. I forget what the topic was. So Malik, if you're listening, or whoever, let me know. Because we're supposed to bring on the UVA leadership to talk. I don't know if it's about the semester or preparation for next semester or something like that, the next school year. We're supposed to bring them on. Okay, I just found out the water at the educational complex is running as a small stream. So I guess trying to figure that one out. Need to get that pressure up. But I know water came back for most of, on the eastern side of the island, eastern part of the island, last night. So hopefully we can rectify this problem and, deal with challenges that face us from time to time actually define us. We gotta figure out how we gonna, be more resilient, because it's been 8+ years since the hurricanes, and guess the governor gonna speak to that in a little bit as well. Yesterday's show, when we were doing some El Gran Combo reminiscing, with the news that their founder had passed away over the weekend. I got a text message from one of my listeners, and we were talking about the cowbell and Doug School being a cowbell player and Rocky teasing him. I spoke with a long-time listener yesterday, and she told me she used to run away and go to dance with the Grand Combo and meet on the Kings. And she said the location like Madame Cecile or Dunglin Bog Bay or Bambouche and all that stuff. So I told her next week Monday, when we talking all our culture, we're gonna bring up that discussion. I'm gonna throw that location, Madame Cecile's, they say, right? So I'm gonna throw that there at Rocky and Ducks them, see if they could tell me about that. And by the way, Asbot Pata gonna be joining us on the table talk next week Monday, which is December the 15th. All right. Because he's bringing over the ageless wonder, 10 sleepless nights over to St. Thomas, so they could do a little Christmas morning thing in St. Thomas. So he gonna be on as part of the table talk. So Ducks and Rocky and Dwayne Lane, I know, and even Willette Tottenham probably be joining that conversation. Yeah, Willette come out of where TSK was born, up on that Free Side, Gallows Bay area there. Free Gut, Hillside, Gallows Bay extension area. So I want to get Willette in that conversation as well. So looking forward to that. Yes, indeed. So let me see what else going on here. Trying to pull up something and see what's going on. Oh, the NBA Cup. That's the in-season tournament. Eastern Conference gonna be playing their Eastern Conference quarterfinals game, and the two winners tonight, they're gonna advance to Vegas. And the Western Conference, they're gonna play their 2 quarterfinal games tomorrow. And then all 4 teams will play in Vegas. And then what you have is the 2 winners tonight, they're gonna play in one semifinal. The 2 winners tomorrow night gonna play another semifinal. And then the winner's gonna play for the NBA Cup title next week, Tuesday. So we're looking for that as well. Going up there, trying to find something. Shout out to Mali High School. They win the Island Nation baseball cup down at Corwin Terrace. Okay. Shout out to Mali High School. Chicken Hawks B won the Island Nation baseball cup held at Corwin Terrace and St. Thomas. They had 2 teams from Udarakan, from Charlotte High School, and the Barracudas from the Educational Complex. 1 team from Udarakan, 1 team from Central High, the Caribs, and there was a team from the British Virgin Islands. Okay, a 6-team tournament at Charlton Mali High School A and B, and the other schools. And the B team, oh God, they were beating up on people. Okay, Charlton Mali got some good high school players. And that's good. And the tournament was sponsored by the Virginia Department of Education, Division of Sports and Athletics, My Island Ballers, Department of Sports Park and Recreation, so 2 departments, and the St. Thomas St. John Interscholastic Athletic Association. So we playing baseball down in December. That's good. That's the beauty of this weather, man. And we keep talking about that, right? Keep saying that if we could do year-round training and take advantage of this weather, we got something working for us. Yeah, like I said, I remember a long time ago. Wow, was it 1989? 26 years ago. Almost 27 because it was in early 99 too. You had lacrosse teams training here in the Virgin Islands because of the weather on the mainland. And they came down, I think it was Johns Hopkins, were down at UVI here in St. Croix. And they were taking advantage of the weather. And like I said, being an American jurisdiction, it works to our benefit. And we actually had, looking at a story here from in 2009, where you had more than 100 women's college lacrosse players on St. Croix this week escaping. This is March 4th, 2009, escaping the blizzard-racked, frozen U.S. East Coast for the breezy 80-degree days of early March. It's early March, you know, right? In the Americas, Caribbean, accompanied by another 40 or so parents, coaches, friends, and support staff. Teams hail from 4 stateside colleges: Mary Washington University and Roanoke College in Virginia, Elizabethtown College in Pennsylvania, and Oneonta State College in New York. The athletes are spending their vacations competing. They said because the season ends at the end of April, we are already into our season, and to get 17 games in, we have to play on our spring break. So we're going to a break now, but just they had already recognized this from in 2009, 16 years ago. And we had seen them teams from Johns Hopkins 10 years before that. You know what I'm saying? So we got to start looking a little bit more big picture. We'll take a break, come back. Hopefully have to go over here in the studio. And we'll talk about his trip to Ghana and other things in the government. Be back right after this. And we're back here analyze this, and we're talking about lacrosse, right? We had 4 teams that was here, right, in 2009, and I found another article, right, where 3 of the top NCAA Division III women's lacrosse teams are taking their 2014 spring break on St. Croix. This is in 2004, right? So while in the territory, the women will spend weekday mornings from 9 a.m. to noon conducting practice and games on the UVI's St. Croix campus. So the practices and games are free and open to the public for viewing. They say approximately 170 individuals, Glenn, are in the lacrosse contingent. They are staying at the Carambola Beach Resort, right? The teams and their accompanying fans are planning trips to Buck Island and to other St. Croix attractions. Lacrosse, a sport that originated among Native Americans, and it was actually big. They actually had some artifacts from down there by Salt River, right? With our Taino ancestors, has enjoyed wide popularity in recent years, and this is 21 years ago, with more than 250,000 active players and college championships that draw more than 40,000 spectators, right? It's supposed to be an annual thing for the Virgin Islands. And you know why? It ain't even got nothing to do with lacrosse. The weather. You know what I'm saying? We supposed to be recruiting. When the governor come, I'm going to ask you about it. So, you know, Paradise Jams is a big tournament, right, in St. Thomas. That's a Thanksgiving thing with the men and the ladies, right? And we supposed to be, you know, setting up a tournament. I mean, a classic, like the Caribbean Lacrosse Classic and all stuff. I'm bringing teams here every year to train down here. Okay, see what he said? Lacrosse teams are taking their 2004 spring break on St. Croix this week. And this is March of 2004. It's the weather, man. Yeah, man, this is supposed to be. You know, we got, I mean, what more we want? I mean, things are falling on our lap, and we ain't even taking advantage of it. Tell you, I saw them in 99. When we used to walk the legislature, Selma Cruz, we used to head west. And I saw Johns Hopkins working out there in 99. And I've now read 2 stories about teams being here 5 and 10 years later, respectively, in 2004 and 2009. You know, we need to be recruiting, man. By the way, in the other article, the 2009 article, they actually had a press conference for those 4 schools I told you about: Mary Washington University, Roanoke, Elizabethtown, and Oneonta State. Right? They had a press conference that they set up with the help of the Department of Tourism. Right? They worked out an arrangement to use the St. Croix Renaissance Park field, which suits the tournament's need much better. So this is great. The field is level. The restrooms are right here. We have water. Competing like this, we have to have plenty of water for them to drink. We had to buy hundreds of gallons of water and carry it around before, so water definitely helps. And this is during the Young administration when the governor was the labor commissioner. So Assistant Commissioner of Tourism, Brad Nugent. Housing, Parks, and Recreation Commissioner Sinclair Williams, and Myron Alec, a partner with St. Croix Renaissance Group, called a press conference with the coaches and students to hail the group as a perfect example of the type of sports tourism opportunities the territory would like to see. This is exactly the sort of classic heads in beds we want, Nugent said. They are here all week buying meals, renting cars, staying in our hotels. Williams and Nugent gave out canvas tote bags of gifts to the students and coaches. We're happy to have you here, Williams said. If there's anything You hear the voice in the background. What's up, my man? There's anything we can do to help in any way, please don't hesitate to call us. Well, the governor has joined us. I did reading about some stories from back in 2009 and 2004, Gov, about the winter season and teams, lacrosse teams coming here to train and all that stuff. We're going to get back to that in a little bit. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, Virgin Islands.
How are you, man?
Awesome. Awesome. You know, God is a good God, man. You know one thing that make you, I'm going to jump right in.
Yeah.
We live in paradise in America.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing traveling does is it really opens your eye to how much we take for granted. And when I say that, we take it for granted because we think everybody lives like we do.
The paradise life.
It is not, and it's not like that. I mean, people live differently, I don't expect. But to live here, this is extraordinary. Showing people what, you know, because I'm referring to my recent trip to Accra in Ghana.
You went to the motherland?
Oh my God.
First time ever?
That's my first time.
What was the itinerary, man?
We went through New York, London, Heathrow, to Accra.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you lost a day and a half going and got it back on the way back?
You know, it wasn't like Ghana's only 4 hours ahead. You know, it's 4,445 miles away.
Direct. But you went north and then come back
yeah.
south, and that's why I asked that question.
It was, I actually enjoy flying because my phone doesn't work. and for some reason, they didn't have internet. And it was very, very peaceful. So it was like...
So St. Croix, Miami.
No, St. Croix, Miami, New York.
JFK.
Yeah.
JFK, Heathrow, Motherland.
Yeah.
Same way back?
Same way back. No, actually, I went to New York. When we went to New York, we went to D.C. You know, I am the chairman of the Jobs for America's Graduates National Board.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We do 80,000 children every year. And, you know, it's a great honor to do that, too. So we had our Virgin Islands kids up there. Yo.
How much of a watch?
We had I think we had like eight kids up there. Mm-hmm. We had our JAG specialists here. But every year they win a lot of awards and stuff. We do. So Jobs for America's Graduate is a national association that we've graduated 1.8 million children over the last 40 years or so. And all of these children have an average of 7 barriers. That's previously incarcerated, parents incarcerated, single family household, pregnant, you name it, you know, drug addiction. We actually, this program, I started the second attempt at this program in the Virgin Islands under Governor John DeYoung. I told him I did not want to do it. What was the name of the lady who was the Commissioner of Education and Dr.
Laverne Terry?
Terry. Dr. Terry was, this is so great. And he said, good, Albert, you do it. So we set it up.
1.8 million over 40 years?
Yeah.
That's 45,000 a year, man.
Yeah, we got 80,000 this year. I mean, it's a huge organization.
Wow.
And by the way, I'm raising money for them. I have a huge government, a huge golf tournament, governor's golf tournament. We're bringing in people from all over the United States to the Virgin Islands.
Did you hear me talking about the lacrosse? When you listen to the show coming out, we're talking about lacrosse.
Yeah, I had a guy. I have a Virgin Islands lacrosse team, and every time people see me in it, they're like, "Where you get her?" You know, I got it from Leslie Highfield.
Leslie Highfield. Yeah.
They've been trying to do something here for a while. Lacrosse is actually one of the sports, believe it or not, that we think we can do in the Virgin Islands because we have a beautiful soccer pitch.
The one down there by Bethlehem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they could play on that, right?
They could play on that. Yeah, they could play on that. And lacrosse tends to be for high-income families. So traveling is not a problem. And when they come, they spend. So, yeah.
And I pull up stories from 2004, 2009. Where Brad Nugent, you got Brad Nugent named as Assistant Commissioner in Tourism.
Wow.
Yeah, 2009. That's the Young administration. We had 4 teams here, and that was nice reading that article. So these are things that we should be doing every year, though.
You know what
because of the weather.
You know what I did when I was on the flight? I actually went back through my pictures, and I don't take a lot of pictures, all the way back to 2021. And it's amazing the amount of experiences, the people I've met, places that it's all thanks to the people of the Virgin Islands. I'm truly appreciative every day to be able to represent the Virgin Islands. And going to Ghana, I felt really proud. And, I felt that way in thing, but Mia Motley, man,
She big?
Oh my God, she's all over.
This is the Prime Minister of Barbados, right?
She had already carried the bones of enslaved Africans from Barbados back to the River of Tears and had a tomb there for them. And they told me, they was like, we would like the Virgin Islands to do it.
Let we talk about this trip.
Right.
How it came together and how is it beneficial to the Virgin Islands.
Right.
From an exposure standpoint and potential investment if possible. So like, I know we got a communications thing and all that stuff, but I want to yield to you.
The communications thing.
Yeah, the triangulation thing with New York, the Virgin Islands, and Ghana.
Well, yeah, I mean, high on the economic level is the diaspora link, which is the fiber optic cable.
You know, I want to know. I know of something, and you like kind of stunned. Like, well, I know if I talking out the line, no. And that thing was big because it require Republican congressional support and all that stuff. So I was.
It does, and
which we got.
Yeah, and President Mahama nor his staff really knew we were working on that. They were very glad to hear that because they were actually knocked out of internet for like 3 weeks because somebody cut us underground cable. Because Africa has a fiber optic cable that goes around Africa, and then from Morocco it goes to France, and then they have one to go to Venezuela. So, Venezuela is a kind of a no-no in the United States right now. So they were very excited about having there's no West African pipeline to the West. And we asked the president for a letter of support for that for Congress, and he seemed amenable to that. But the big news is Ghana is, and this was a very exploratory, let's get on the ground, let's see what they have. At the time that we planned the trip, cocoa had a 15% tariff. So there was a lot of talk about bringing cocoa to St. Croix, refining it, grinding it, and then shipping it off to the United States. You would escape the tariff. Yams still has a heavy tariff. And for people who haven't been listening to me lately, AGOA is the African Free Trade Agreement to the United States for agricultural products. It expired in September. So all of a sudden, just like all these other countries, Africa has now tariffs. President Mahama, the week we were there, they were able to negotiate the tariffs off of the cocoa, but they still have tariffs on yams. Now, that's just Ghana. The port of Tema takes, because Burkina Faso, which is on fire now with Traore, they don't have a port. So Ghana is their port. Benin, Togo, Nigeria, all of them ship stuff through Ghana. They have their own ports as well too. But the incredible thing is now you have the African Free Trade Alliance, which unites 48 countries and creates an economy of 1.3 billion people in free trade. That's today, 1.3 billion, and that is an opportunity to trade with all those people. Now, we're the Virgin Islands. We only need a drop, We only need a little bit to make it good because we're talking about massive industry, yams, cocoa, gold, diamonds, all kinds of mineral. The other thing is, I heard people talk about the sleeping tiger, but Africa is definitely the sleeping lion that has come awake. And all this trade that's going on, and not only that, is now they're kind of suffocating the West and the East in terms of minerals because leaders are saying now we're gonna reclaim our mineral rights and we're gonna determine what the trading rights will be. We didn't get to meet with the gold board. We couldn't get that meeting in. It was scheduled, but then it had to be postponed because they had to travel. But the gold board in Ghana now is responsible for selling all the gold that comes out of Ghana. Huge economic impact.
We could play a role in that, some kind of role or what?
I talked about gold, but the thing about gold is smelting gold.
We could set up a stock exchange and see if we could do something.
Oh my God, like you said, smelting gold is dirty business. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to bring that kind of industry to the Virgin Islands. Our people ain't gonna want it. I don't want that. No, our people don't want it.
But I'm talking about from a sales standpoint and using that pipeline that we got.
Yeah. To St. Thomas and all them jewelry stores and things, we could. I've actually been having conversations about precious stones in that realm and escaping the tariff. But speaking of that,
but that tariff thing, the Supreme Court looking to rule another, so that one hanging in the balance a little bit. The president has made an argument that this is a national security thing. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see how the.
But even if he doesn't prevail in the Supreme Court, like even the World Trade Organization, the WTO, the chief said. And speaking to people in Ghana, in my travels in London, they're saying they get it. I mean, why would the United States be paying a premium to participate in other people's economy and then they playing in this economy for free? That'll make no sense. Whether you like Trump or you don't like Trump, that don't make any sense. This is the largest economy
on Earth,
on the planet. Yeah, I mean, the United States economy is $30 trillion. The next closest economy, which is China, is only $19 trillion. And then it drops down to like 14, I think, which is Japan or something like that. But anyway, California is the fourth largest economy
in the world. A state.
Yeah. So that's to show you
a state of 40 million people.
That's to show you the kind of buying power.
That's why Pat knocking up here. That's why. I know you talk about he a couple years back. He got ego, but that's why he got Newsom not go on soccer. He know their contribution to the treasury.
Yeah,
ain't no joke. We got a governor here in the studio. We're gonna go to a break. Come back. I got a map. I found a map here that I want you to look at, and maybe if you can work or put it up, so the public will see it as well. A connection map, a network map. We got Governor Albert Bryan here in the studio. We're talking about a trip that he just took to the motherland of West Africa. We'll take a break and be back right after this. and we're back here and Analyze This, and we got the governor here in the studio coming to report to the public about this trip that he took. So I had done some research on this from back in the day. It all started with Global Crossing. Remember, they had, that financial issue. They went into bankruptcy and all that stuff. Then they have been purchased a couple of times since then. Level 3, Lumen Technologies, all these people down there. Remember the pipe? We actually got a pipe that run right next to Hams Bluff in Frederickstead, right? Glenn, you have set a point up there. That good? Okay, if you could hone in on that, this is the actual map, right? And if you, right, that good? That good or a little higher, a little lower? A little up? That good. If you look at the map, you'll see Africa right here. There is zero connectivity to Africa. Now, this map is from a while back, but this goes to show how backwards or way behind Africa was in terms of connectivity.
Right.
And the delegate had been working with
Stephen Adams.
Stephen, yeah, and
it's bipartisan support.
Bipartisan support, congressmen and senators and all that stuff. So that pipe, the proximity with that pipe there, and of course the pipe had suffered some damage in the hurricanes. What was his name? Mark Stefan's predecessor. Yeah. I forget his name. His first name was Mark. I'd met him after the hurricanes. So we got some things that we could work with. So when I heard that you were going to Ghana, I was thinking, well, maybe that's a part of the deal.
It was. We took Stephen with us. Stephen is a brilliant dude. Stephen Adams is the president, executive director of Virgin Islands Next Generation Network, and they were blown away by that little piece. But I just want this is my next year. This time there will be a governor elect, right? Every problem that we have in the Virgin Islands, I was just saying 90%, because we got some problems that don't fit within this. This administration, the people of the Virgin Islands, all of us together, we have secured the funding to fix school, water, power, sewer, ports, you name it. That is a train that's already rolling, going down the street. Our economic situation for tourism is great because not only do we have a market on fire, cruise ship numbers going up, arrivals going up, new flights and routes, but we have the military supporting it. So for me as governor now, I am laying all of the foundation for the recovery. That is pretty much
what is the next governor going to inherit?
He's going to all he's got to do.
He or she.
There's Adrian Oxlins-Williams, the head of ODR. She's actually succeeded in getting us to where we need to be. In all these contracts being let, all our major projects now are. Like when people like to say, when I say all, like I would say 90%. I'm gonna put a extreme on it. Right? It's set. We're breaking ground on Charles Howard next week. Or high school coming along, Baltimore shelter where everybody's complaining about. That's already let. That contract is already let. St. John is already let. The clinic, Morris de Castro, as well as the school, that's already let. 13 schools are already under contract.
But the gorilla is energy, boss. I mean,
the WAPA bids are in this week. We're putting up. We've already got 30-something megawatts. We got almost as much solar as we have daytime demand in St. Croix. We just got the 2 permits for St. Thomas from Fortuna and the West, and Fortuna and Bavoni. Like all of that is like that they're going. So what I'm looking at now, when we started the term, my thing was, okay, local politics, potholes, yes, we got to get all this stuff done. But my goal was to firmly establish the strategic importance of the Virgin Islands with the federal government and create a Caribbean policy.
How are we going to benefit from, I'll use the right word here, reconnaissance trips, so like that to Africa? So if you read the president's and the Secretary Hexet's new strategy, what does it say? It says dominance of the Western Hemisphere. What does that mean? That means that they're going to put the Chinese out of the Caribbean
They're going to control what happens in South America and Central America, and they're going to exert American dominance on this. The Caribbean and Puerto Rico and St. Croix, specifically St. Croix and the Virgin Islands, become strategic military assets again. Puerto Rico, Rosie Roads, they're patching the runway. There's ships, after 40 years, there's ships in our harbors again. Sailors, Marines moving around. Permanent planes on our airport refuelers. This is not a temporary thing. Certainly the Venezuela thing is. The other thing they said is, we are going to stop supporting all these countries around the world with aid. Specifically, their strategy for Africa is to stop aid and to increase trade as a way of support. So we're going to say...
But Governor, this administration has proven that they talk a big game, but they don't execute. A classic example is Doge. When they were talking all that Doge talk when it started, and for some reason, it falls flat. Now, I know they're good in the messaging game and all that stuff, but you still got to execute. They might have this Western Hemisphere Teddy Roosevelt mentality, but the reality is they got to perform.
But they're not talking about what they're going to do. They're talking about what they've done. They've ended free trade agreements. They've refused to support
the
NATO.
same ones that they negotiated.
Yes.
It's funny. That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. But I remember talking to the Energy Office Director early in the year, Kyle Fleming, and he said, Neville, me really got a problem with the policy, this and all that stuff. The problem with them is the confusion. That's the problem, Governor. So we got to figure out locally how we could be on a straight line in terms of how they want to impose their will here in the Western Hemisphere and not be all over the place.
But it seems chaotic, but if you pay attention, it's consistent.
The talk.
No.
The action too?
The action, I mean, their move, the president, say what you want. The president didn't balk on Israel and Palestine. He stayed there. They've levied tariffs, and the people are paying the tariffs that they want. They've told the European Union, listen, y'all got to protect Europe. That ain't our problem alone. We taking out in masses like we live next to Russia. We don't live next to Russia. They've China and the stability of Taiwan. If you go to any of our territorial talks in Washington, all they want to talk to is Guam and the military buildup in the South Pacific and their forces there. So they're building new bases over there. They're reinforcing their position in the South Pacific. And then in the Caribbean, they're exerting their influence with warships. They're telling Venezuela, listen, we're not going to have that on this side of the planet. The aid that they give to Argentina, $41 billion. It's the exerting of dominance is they're doing what they said they're going to do. The Virgin Islands now has to think about what's in our future and how can we benefit. The other thing is oil. The price of oil has actually been steady or going down since it's a strategy that they're employing and getting more and more oil to be drilled in the Western Hemisphere. America has more oil than Saudi Arabia.
Venezuela got more oil than the two of them combined.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm happy to see the U.S. influence in the Caribbean again. Yeah.
No. We should have on the line joining us shortly. Chanel Peterson from WAPA, because we had a big issue here at St. Croix. So I wanted her to call in, and then you could be here and she could explain. We had to cancel schools yesterday on St. Croix.
Yeah, we had to cancel school. WAPA in St. Croix this weekend was Cocoa Bay on top of Yaz. You had a serious water main leak.
You had a water main leak?
I
think early in the weekend, and then,
it was just I don't know, my son. The one thing I was looking for in Ghana I didn't find is a good Obi man to bring back here for WAPA. I am dude, can anything go right? But they making it through. The good news is they ain't coming fast.
Yo, I gotta be honest with you, right? I was mad when the power was out, right? But I was proud that the power came back because what we were hearing is a Sunday. So I'm thinking Sunday. Now we going into Monday, and when I see power come back 8:30, 9 o'clock, I was like, "There's hope."
Poor Carl, when Carl, he's like, "Wait a second, I was happening on the weekend." There's a skeleton crew in the plant on the weekend, but they got it together. St. Croix power infrastructure is going good.
I poke good mouth and we make Kyle being on with the Power Hour Friday, and I say, we and St. Croix, we didn't suffer what has been going on in the St. Thomas, St. John district. Next thing, Sunday come 11:30 after I watch my Formula One race, and I'm ready for football now. Power God until I get to see the last game with Kansas City and Houston.
Hey, who won the Philly game last night?
Philly lose, man.
Yes!
I know you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, right?
Yeah. I was watching it. It was too stressful. Too stressful. I started switching up my
overtime, 22-19 at interception late in the game.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
that Chargers defense is formidable, man.
But I think defense is coming back now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
defense
that's
is
interesting.
coming back.
So here's what I want to say about the Ghana trip. Me personally, as someone who's been an elected official, everybody will take in their shots. Here is one thing that I have said, in terms of elected officials traveling outside the territory. If we claim we in the tourism business, I could understand people saying, well, we ain't got this, we ain't got that, you're traveling, all that stuff. But life doesn't stop. Even if we're struggling, you still got to go out there and touch the flesh, right? I ain't want to blow smoke up here because you're the governor, right? Because people say, well, we getting all the way to Africa for. The one thing I want to ask you is there going to be a benefit from this particular trip and the entourage that you took to Africa for the people of the Virgin Islands?
Absolutely. I mean, let's talk trade, right? We met with Axis Bank over there. They're bringing a delegation. They're bringing a pre-delegation, and then they're going to bring a delegation of not only the bank people, but they're going to bring some business people over. I was talking to a sister, man. She couldn't be more than 40, 41. She's the president of the Ghana Stock Exchange. She's the chairwoman of the Ghana Stock Exchange. I was just blown away to see this beautiful black woman.
Calling shots.
Calling the shots. Young and you.
We got Chanel on the line, so let's wrap this up before we head to the break.
And then the president, his minister of his prime initiatives is coming. And they're bringing their tourism and the tourism executive director. They're coming for sure. I invited His Excellency and his wife, Lordina. They want to come. They're going to Barbados. We're way behind them. They're going to Barbados for sure.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, it's just a hop and a skip across. So you come to
come, Miss Peterson.
I was like, Barbados ain't we ain't the Virgin Islands. It's nice. But
Chanel Peterson, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And I got a governor here, so make sure you behave yourself. Okay.
Always. Good morning, Governor Bryan.
Morning.
Update on our energy and water situation here in the Virgin Islands?
Absolutely. So things are still well. Customers are energized on the electric side. We have seen some great progress on the water side. Our teams worked yesterday on some temporary generation to the station service so that we can fill the tank at Richmond following the outage that impacted some of the infrastructure for the water production. So over the night, we've been working on filling the inventory. This morning, they've been pressurizing the system, so basically releasing a lot of the air in the pipes, opening up the hydrants, flushing the system, and they're working their way strategically from Richmond, heading towards Frederickstead. So as of this morning, most customers in Christiansted as well as Mid-Island does have water. However, several customers in Frederickstead may still be experiencing low to no water pressure as we're slowly building the system. One of the things the team has to balance is the fact that we have age infrastructure, so if we push water out too fast, the pressure builds too quickly, and that's when we can create breaks and leaks along the pipes, and so we're doing our best to prevent that, but we do have crews on standby in the event that does happen. Customers can expect that because we've had this interruption for several hours, that the water is going to be discolored, hence why we are doing our flushing on our side, but customers will also probably have to do some similar flushing on their end. And so basically the best tip is to remove your filter, flush the water for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then place your filter back on, and that'll help extend the life of your filter if you have a filtration system. And then if you find that after that time period you're still seeing that discolored water, please report it, excuse me, to WAPA at www.viwapa.vi or call customer service at 340-773-2250. And also, as we're building the water quality as well as the pressure throughout the island of St. Croix, there may be pockets of neighborhoods that do not see that improved water pressure. So as well, please contact us so that we can get a team out there, because what can happen is, depending on some areas, again, they may have air pockets that are preventing that water flow, and our teams can go out and remedy that. So just want to say thanks to Vitima, because they assisted with providing a generator yesterday, so we can have a portion of the plant back up that was damaged from that initial electrical outage that we experienced on Sunday. And then thanks to all of our additional partners, we've been in contact with Department of Education, Human Services, as well as Department of Health. So everybody's on board. And
Don't hang up. We're going to a break. We come back. We can wrap up,
right.
wrap up this quick conversation right after that. We got the governor here in the house, and maybe the governor might have a question for Chanel as well. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters. The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And we're back here. Analyze This. We've got Governor Albert Bryan, number 9, right?
Number 9.
Governor number 9 here in the studio. We also got Chanel Peterson joining us on a quick reach out to give us an update. We've been dealing with some transmission issues here with electricity and water here on the Big Island. Good morning, Chanel. Glad to have you on.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
Good. Governor, you got any questions for Chanel? I know you got direct line with Carl Knight.
I have
That's
the
your guy, but
the direct line. But, the one thing I would say, with WAPA that Hugo did a really good job of is telling people, because you got right mindset. The right mindset people have to have. We will never be a day that we don't have outages. There are going to be fires. Pipes are going to burst. People are going to hit down poles. Plants are going to fall. We don't have a grid system that prevents against that. in the States, you could just lock it off from one place and take and feed power from the next. We don't have that system. We're getting better. We're putting in battery systems. We're putting in solar. But to say we're going to have a time when there'll be no power outages, that's not going to happen. So I just want to thank the people out there at WAPA, because it's us. All of this stuff that goes around here is us. Our people, our cousin, auntie, friend, us. So, we got it fixed. And then thank you for the community for pitching in to help WAPA get it done, because stuff happens. And it's an island. It's an island,
You're going to pipe.
I was talking to a lady. I ain't gonna
Every island, except, I guess St. John is connected to St. John, but every island got to self-generate.
Everyone. And, when you speak to island people across the globe, and people who live in communities, they have power issues. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling the reality of it. If we ever get a pipeline to Puerto Rico, we'll be safe. And don't think it's something that we'd be talking about all the time.
But we actually got better management structure with WAPA than with PREPA. As much as people knock WAPA, PREPA ain't really in our league in terms of management. So
people start. I don't know if you realize it, but people stop comparing us to Puerto Rico. Remember whenever you used to be like, Puerto Rico, guess what happened in Puerto Rico? Yeah. We don't get compared to Puerto Rico. We get compared to like the metropolitan area of Miami and Atlanta and New York, which is.
Chanel, you were thanking Vitima, Department of Education. Anybody else you want to thank?
Definitely have to also thank the Office of the Governor for their support as well throughout this time. So thank you.
Ms. Peterson, thank you very much on short notice, and keep us up to date. If you got anything for tomorrow, let me know.
Will do. Thank you. Have a great day.
You got it. That's Chanel Peterson from the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority, Director of Corporate Communications. So, Gov, during the break, I told you I was going to ask you this question. You got where you are via politics. And 2026 is going apparently gearing up to be a very highly charged political year. It's a gubernatorial year. You're the titular head of the Democratic Party as we speak. What are you feeling? What are you sensing?
The one thing that I am not seeing though is the issues. There'll be a lot of talk about what has been done, but what are you going to do? And things that remain us, we still don't have a good way to fund our corrections bureau. The problem with this falling, the schools are going to be built, but in St. Thomas particularly, we have a problem with the modulars falling apart. And territory-wide, it's going to cost us like $240 million to get new modulars, and the schools will take a couple of years to be built. So we got a little problem with. What do we do with the kids in St. Thomas? St. Croix, the new Arthur Richards is going to open up in August.
What does that do for St. Croix?
It gives us mobility to move people around. Definitely with Woodson. We're looking right now for a solution for Woodson to just condemn that school. But it's a big school that we're building over there in Arthur, so we could empty out probably. We haven't decided yet. I have a meeting with them. Eulalie Rivera. Out of Grove. So that's a school, a swing school now. Like for any school having problems, we could send people to. Juanita Guardian still has plenty of room. Paul B is full. So there are options in there. Claudio Marco is going to be rebuilt. So at some point, those students are going to have to move from there and go to the new John Woodson, which is a K-8, or another school while we redo that one. St. Croix ain't a problem. St. Thomas is a problem.
It'll be the new Arthur Richards, new John Woodson.
It'll be the new Arthur Richards.
New Arthur Richards.
There's a lot of talk, Mara Nile and stuff been calling me about co-naming the school the Arthur Richards Evelyn Williams School. Mm-hmm. That's for the legislature. Then, I think the other problem, healthcare is, coming along. St. Thomas, I think, pretty solid. There's still a lot of trepidation around having this modular building. And we got to go through some storm seasons in St. Croix.
What's the big issues for St. John?
St. John, St. John is just improvement. We're over there doing some road work and some cameras right now. Mariquita seems to be holding its own strain. We're going to build a new Mariquita, the new St. John School, the new Morris de Castro Clinic downtown.
All of them things come to fruition while you were sitting on a lounge chair. Because time running out, you only got one more fall and come January 1 or no?
Oh yeah, the thing is, I don't think a lot of these projects will be completed in the next 4 years. the following 4 years probably. Because, I mean, these things are going to take time. And we're talking about...
So hold up. You're saying 31 to 34 is when these things going to happen, not necessarily 27 to 27 to 30?
No, they're going to take a long time to build. You know how much construction? I mean, think about that.
The supply chain issue, is that real, that much of a challenge?
Supply chain, people, transportation. There's so many different challenges. The next governor needs to be talking about inflation. What are you going to do about inflation? We have to stay on the track with WAPA and try to get that power bill down to at least under 30 cents.
Last year, around June, I was bragging about this $600 million new facility. What's the update on that?
What's $600 million?
The new plant, the new WAPA
The
plant.
bids are in. I think they're doing the evaluations now for.
Actually, not told us about it yesterday, but I want to hear what you hear.
But that like they say, that train not going down the road. We good with it. I think WAPA is almost where we wanted in terms of infrastructure on St. Croix.
Have they identified locations? Are they going to be right side by side to where the facilities are now? Or
there's definitely going to be. Well, I can't say I won't be the governor in 27.
Yeah.
But the plan is now to do a South Shore facility for St. Croix because it just makes sense. The issues that come around also are, like I said, inflation. I mean, we need to. We on a good solar roll. I think we're going to be going to control that. We're going to be looking at.
But that's me. I'm athlete. I'm Sweetbread. I mean, they own that day. I mean, they've been. But that's a 25 year foundational dynamic that been in place in Barbados. They're bragging about printing money. That's what man tell me at the Intercontinental Hotel back in 20 years this month, 2005. Remember they got a Caribbean Basin conference every December, and man tell me in the Intercontinental Hotel, this our commitment. Speaking like Queen's English, our commitment to solar. It's like printing money. I was like, what? Is man brazen? But it was the truth.
But everything in its time. I mean, and remember, all these solar facilities are going to belong to the people of the Virgin Islands, just like the Marriott is. The Westin is in St. Thomas. It's going to belong to the people of the Virgin Islands. So we've invested heavily in gaining a lot of momentum. We get a lot of things for free over the time. I think when I say about inflation, how are people going to build homes? I'm working with Senator Novell Francis on a piece of legislation where the increment in the gross receipts tax. So let's say the gross receipts tax goes up $5 million. I mean, $50 million.
You mean the revenues?
Right.
Yeah.
10% of that every year would be dedicated to the SLICE program, because the SLICE program is an ARPA project and it's going to run out of money. So things to help people, expansion of the free tuition to maybe the master's program. Those are all ideas I'm speaking with senators about.
How about remote work?
We need people here. You mean remote working at home for the government?
That's what that jurisdictions looking at folks who might be taking care of elderly parents and all that stuff. Because of that, unique dynamic, that option is available for them.
We have remote work policy for the government. I think we're at a point now where people are...
Because RT Park had Eric Sanier and Novell Francis, you mentioned, talking about working on that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the policy is already in place.
People retiring to come here to live here. They want to live here. No, we got a health care and that public safety and the infrastructure where we need it.
One of the things I think we need to revisit again is the legislation that killed the ability for attorneys to come here and work for the government without being barred. We need that back. We can't find enough attorneys, and you got a lot of people retiring now want to come to the Virgin Islands to work, but they don't want to take the bar again. They're in their 50s, 60s. They're like, I'm not doing that again. But so justice needs a lot of help.
What about one of the big issues the administration had coming in was the need for, I think it was either based on the volume of work, I think that's 600 or 6,000 engineers and other
6,000 workers.
Yeah,
we working on that. We're trying to get the H-1B visa ban lifted off of the Virgin Islands.
Please educate the president on that. You don't talk it, but you could tell he really understand it and all that stuff. That actually impact the house racing industry too. We got a lot of them that come from South America to work.
Yeah, to train and jockey.
All that stuff. But let me get back to the politics, man. And I want to go back to when you first ran. Wow. And the reason why I'm asking this question in December of 2025 is because if my memory serves me correctly, your thing didn't come together until May of 2018.
The team.
The team.
Yeah.
I mean, the public announcement, I think it was go-throughs and so on. I put up with you later at 2+2 that night. And you said, Neville, I running, me ain't got no money, but I there in the race. Yeah. And your thing came together relatively late. Not as late as Turnbull. Turnbull thing come together in July in 1998. So I asking you now,
but we were
as a titular head.
Yeah.
Right? With all what you hearing, like they are saying St. Thomas, right? That's a pronoun, hearing, right? What is your feel? And what do you want? How would you want? Because first question they're gonna ask is, you got a lieutenant governor who apparently wants to run for governor. One of the issues in the past is the lack of endorsements from governors to the lieutenant governors and all that stuff. So you got a lot of things on your plate. So let me talk politics. What are you looking at? How do you think this thing gonna unfold?
Well, the one thing I know is that the next governor is going to be a Democrat, without a doubt, because we have the biggest horses in the race.
You don't believe that the electorate would be receptive to a fresh face, a fresh voice, a apolitical candidate, so to speak?
Yeah, but it can't be me. I mean, I think it would be receptive. I mean, when you think about, joke is joke, but over the last 8 years, the Democratic Party has dominated the scene and has killed it. I mean, we have never had a better 8 years, a better 7 years, because the stuff that Stacey has been able to accomplish in Congress. I mean, people think me and her riv, but I mean, Stacey is one of the primary reason why Delegate Plaskett is one of the primary reason why we could pay back the get up to date with the tax returns. She is the one that really got, and I give it out wholeheartedly credit, to get the earned income tax credit reimbursed by the federal government. The Medicaid issue has been an issue for years. That's resolved. She's worked with us with FEMA. We've gotten billions of dollars into the Virgin Islands. The Democratic Party has brought $25 billion here. We have had the 50-year problem, school in St. John, or the waterfront in St. Thomas, Main Street, Vendors Plaza.
So you confident as a titular head, you could articulate why the people should support a Democratic candidate for governor?
I mean, it wouldn't be. I mean, the retirement system. This is Democrats again. I mean, you got to think about it. Or Donna Fred Gregory was in the legislature. I think she was the president when we saved the retirement system. I hear some. I can't say jackass.
You just did.
On the thing talking about, the governor said he going to save the retirement system. He did. Do you know the Social Security system is in jeopardy every single day? We could never relax on a defined pension plan because nobody does it anymore. It is like a pyramid scheme, but it is. We saved it. While Donna was there, Donna has been the commissioner of labor. The commissioner of education. She's worked at the Port Authority. She has experience. Tregenza Roach, attorney, author, lieutenant governor, senator, constitutional convention,
commissioner at banking and insurance. What about his role? What has he done over that window that you feel comfortable with? That he could make an argument.
Individual health care and individual insurance is no longer an issue in the Virgin Islands, or banks are giving out loans, or he could brag about the SLICE program, the Envision program, or everything. Every win of the administration is a win.
So you confident that whoever prevail in that restricted race, the primary, they could make an argument that will allow for them to be.
Who else can come? What else are you going to say?
Now let me ask this question politically: do we need stronger non-democratic parties to make the Democratic parties even more viable?
I always say we need a strong Republican Party.
What about ICM? A stronger local party?
Or ICM. But I mean, because
right now, numerically, the Democratic Party is a dominant force.
Numerically. But you got a 12-member Democratic majority in the legislature that often, not always, fights me, the Democratic governor. And then at the end of the day, we get together and we do some phenomenal things.
I kind of like that, Governor, because
fighting one another,
because checks and balances is necessary. I mean, I know same Democratic Party umbrella and all that stuff, but there should be something to keep the executive and the legislative, in check.
I 100% agree, but it got to be substantive.
I agree with that.
It can't be just
can't be
because
superficial.
We're gonna fight this because we're gonna try to figure out a reason to fight this. And the legislature and we've done incredible work in the last 6 months. We got some great things accomplished in this 2-year term. So, and we got 12 Democrats there too. So their wins are Democratic wins. My wins, Democratic wins. Stacy, Delegate Plaskett wins, Democratic wins.
So you look at you anxious. You gonna be out on the trail articulating on behalf of the candidate.
People, you know, I'm gonna say this with bated breath. We've got this wide swath of this like corruption thing painted on our administration. You know, the church can't be held responsible for all the parishioners, but it can, right? Granted. So that is a mar against the administration.
And by the way, I want to add in, the governor let it be known that he will have nothing to say about this until after his term is over, not the show or the trial, the term.
Yeah.
You want nobody to say influencing nothing. So so that's it. I just want to put that on the record. I know people say, "How come Neville asked about this and all that stuff?" Because of the sensitive nature of the deal, the governor said, "When my term done, I will talk about it."
Because there's a lot going on, but the wins. I mean, the things that we have been able to do in the last 7 years. The last thing I'm going to say, and is the
look like a 10-minute perfect. We get to the break now.
The one thing that we need in the Virgin Islands, you know, I could tell you, John DeYoung, MAP, Tombo. One of the reasons why I am winning, because I stand on the shoulders of every governor that ever was, and the stuff that they have done. I chose not to undo, which created early wins for me.
No, we got great statute here. Now, our VI code, we were talking about it on the table talk yesterday. For example, the lockbacks for gross receipt taxes and the other to pay our debt, our rum cover over.
So what I said is, when I stand on every other governor's shoulders, continuity is the name of this game. If we don't continue with the recovery, the things that we're doing with WAPA, the development we're doing with tourism, if we get somebody who want to change course now, we'll be in problems.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to see you before the state of the territory or after?
After.
Okay, good. Thank you, Governor. Good
All
to
right,
see
thank
you,
man.
Let the people see me shaking your hand. Thank you very much for being here.
Bye, Virgin Islands. Love y'all.
Aminah Saleem will be joining us with the group from the Rural Health Network. Be back right after this. And we are back here at Analyze This. I want to thank the governor for joining us for hour one, plus a little bit more conversation. Governor just got back from Ghana. A delegation going to be coming from Ghana to the territory, and hopefully investment for the people of St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, Water Island. Everybody here in the territory could be benefiting from that relationship. So we'll find out more about that. The governor said he'll be back right after the State of the Territory. Let's transition quickly. We got the Virgin Islands Healthcare Foundation here in the studio. Got to speak in my Yankee twang so the public will understand. We're going now with these big shots. Young ladies, introduce yourself, starting to surrogate mom on the left here.
Good morning, everyone. This is Aminah Saleem. I am the board secretary for the Virgin Islands Healthcare Foundation. And I'm here today with
Paula Graber.
Pull the microphone a little closer.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I have been working with VIHCF for quite some time. And right now I'm working as a financial coordinator at our renal center. So we've opened our renal center in January, and really excited to be serving our community and our dialysis patients.
There we go. Now, Aminah, this labor of love started when?
3 years ago. We decided, Dr. Tower called, talking to him a number of times, and started talking about healthcare in the Virgin Islands and being able to advocate and make some change in the healthcare. We talked about dialysis, we talked about mental health, we talked about just general care for the people here. And then what we thought we were going to do changed because we needed to do the dialysis unit. So we did the dialysis unit first, and we've been operating for a year, and that's been very successful. And now we are here today to talk about our rural health clinic because we opened it in September, but tomorrow, December 10th, Wednesday, December 10th, we are going to be having a ribbon cutting and an open house because we want the community to see what we're doing and to see about this clinic.
No, that was a soft opening in September?
Yes, a soft opening. We need to do it. One of the things for you to get certification, you need to be open. You have to have a certain amount of patience. So all of that was what we did.
That's the certificate of need type of thing there? Pull up the microphone there.
It's not a certificate of need. We had that for the Virgin Islands, but we're applying. Rural health clinics are federal funded clinics, and you have to be certified by the federal government in order to be there.
There we go. Now, Ms. Graber, morning.
Yes, good morning.
You mentioned your financial management role in this. Where are we financially in terms of long-term sustainability? Because we don't want to open, and then next thing you know, we're running into obstacles financially.
Well, we're doing great. I mean, and that's part of, why we wanted to do a rural health clinic. And it's primarily to serve the community, but doing it in a sustainable way. And that's part of, why it's the federal piece is going to help us to be able to do that.
Now, island-wide, how many dialysis patients do we have, and how many is your facility servicing?
Island-wide, meaning just St. Croix?
Well, we could do territory-wide, and the public is receptive to that.
I mean, the rough number is around 200.
200 territory-wide?
Yeah.
Territory-wide, okay. And is it evenly split, or do we have more in one district than the other?
Well, that varies, but it's...
I mean, we'd want the number to be zero,
yeah, exactly.
In a perfect world, but...
Exactly, yeah. And we can serve up to 76 patients.
Okay.
And right now we have around roughly 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Aminah, what's the biggest challenges right now for the clinic?
Right now, we put in our certification, and because of the government shutdown, our application has been accepted. But the one last piece is that we have to have a survey, and we see that happening in January. And once we get that, we will have the federal certification as a rural health clinic. Other than that, we have had a great reception from the public and from the community as far as people coming into our clinic, because it's not like any other clinic, and we don't want it to be. One of the things we wanted to do is with a rural health clinic, it's a community clinic. It's that when you come into the clinic, all your needs are kind of met. So we have primary care and we have acute care. So everybody knows if they wake up in the morning and they start feeling sick and they like, oh my God, I got to go to the doctor, but I have to make an appointment and I don't have an appointment, where am I going to go? Well, you can come into our clinic and see a doctor and get your medication, and things like that help people not to lose a lot of days from work, not to let things go too far. I know for me, it's helped me not to get bronchitis because I get to the doctor in time. So those are the things that our acute care does, and we're doing that every day. But when we come to your primary care, one of the main things for a rural health clinic is primary care. And people ask, when you go to the hospital, they ask, who's your primary doctor? And most people say, I don't have a primary doctor. Well, one of the purposes of the rural health clinic is to help people have primary doctors. So we have a number of doctors who you can come in and see, and they will say they are your primary doctor. They're going to be there to make sure that you get all the tests you need. They follow you. It's about preventive things. If someone comes in regularly to a doctor, that same doctor knows everything about you. They start, well, I saw you last month and you lost 10 pounds. Something's wrong here. Those are the things that happen when you have a primary doctor. They're able to look back in your chart and really follow you. And so one of the things you can get at our rural health clinic is have a primary doctor, a doctor that you say is your primary. Every time you come in, that's the doctor you see, and they're watching you and they're trying to make sure that you get all your tests, your annual tests. And people might say, well, other clinics around here do that, and they do a very good job, but we still need more because so many people leave this island for medical care. And that's because they don't feel confident about it, and a lot because we don't have enough care here. So what we're trying to do is prevent that kind of what we call economic leakage. We don't think about it that way, but when you have to buy a plane ticket for $400, $500, you have to go to a hotel or stay at a family house and stay up there and have your medical care. By the time you come back, you've spent almost $2,000, if you can afford that, in another place. Wouldn't it be better if you had a doctor you felt confident in, that they're following you all the time, and you could stay home here? That's one of the reasons I came on the board, because I don't like going to the States to the doctor. I don't like having to go up to Cleveland Clinic. And every time I go up to Cleveland Clinic, I see about 4 or 5 Virgin Islanders. We want to make it that people can stay home where they live and feel confident about their medical care.
Well, I just wanted to know that I'm going to be biting that economic leakage from now on, because it's not only sound good, it's very, very appropriate, because it's real. That's number one. Number two, which federal agencies, when you talk about the need for federal certification and all that stuff, which federal agencies are we talking about?
The Department of Health and Human Services is where the funding comes under, and that's where we have to put in our applications.
Okay, good. Now, Ms. Graber, how important is self-education for patients to know where they are, what they're going through, in addition to being provided for by their primary doctor and doctors at the clinic?
Well, I think that's critical, but that's one of the things that we want to be able to do at the rural health clinic is to provide education to the community, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about, it's easy to Google and find information, and you're not always finding the most critical information that's specific to you. And that's where primary care can be very helpful, because you're seeing someone that is looking at your overall care. And I think one of the other pieces is that that's important about our particular rural health clinic. We offer acute care, which is same-day walk-in visits. And, if you're not sure about something, the best thing you can do is come in and see someone that can really answer your questions and has the expertise to be able to help you with whatever it is that's going on.
How many chairs we have at the rural clinic?
How many chairs?
Chairs.
Meaning dialysis chairs?
Yeah.
No, but that's not at the rural health clinic. The rural health clinic doesn't have chairs. It has doctors.
Doctors, okay.
Yeah,
But
providers.
explain the structure.
Okay, so the Virgin Islands Healthcare Foundation oversees our dialysis or our renal center.
Renal center,
and we
yeah.
have 13 dialysis chairs there.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I was kind of lost because I thought I was using the wrong term. I know it to be chairs. So.
No, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
At the dialysis center.
Dialysis,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Right.
I
And then-
apologize about that.
No, that's okay. And then we have the rural health clinic, and we have a total of 6 providers there. And I can kind of mention who they are. We have Dr. Villegas, Dr. Medel Villegas, and she does family practice and primary care and sees children ages 5 and up. And then we have Robin Hughes, who's a nurse practitioner, and she does primary care and geriatric care and also mental health.
I will come into that part because I got a story. I like to tell the story over and over again of something I went through in 2006 with respect to geriatrics and the territory. Go ahead.
Okay. And then our next is Carrie Lundrum, and she's also a nurse practitioner, and she provides our acute care and primary care. And then we have Dr. Elise Stevens, and she's providing our acute care in the clinic. And then, of course, Dr. Tawakal, who does our internal medicine and is our medical director. And then we also have Lisa Gay, who is another nurse practitioner and provides our acute care.
So you got this ain't no pia thing. You got Aminah, like we just said locally. You got a comprehensive setup there with medical professionals left and right.
Yes, and we do. And one of the things is that they're not only going to see you medically, they're also going to refer you to people. So one of the things we're doing at the clinic is making partnerships with different nonprofits who are doing various things within the community. So if your primary care doctor, while talking to you, hears that, you know, you need some help in something else, we'd be able to say, well, you know, we have another nonprofit here in the community that's doing this. We can give you a referral to go over there. It's also that if your primary doctor, once they're doing it and you're talking to them, realizes you have a heavy load. So some of our caregivers, will come to a doctor and they say, well, you know, I'm caregiving, I don't have time to do this. And that doctor might say, well, you know, we have behavioral health that's coming soon. We have counselor who can talk to you and help you out. And this is without you having to go to another place. Right there, it isn't, people won't see you going to a therapist. You'll be like you're going to the doctor. And so we're trying to look at the whole person and so, you know, give the community something different, something that we don't have here, and in hopes that people will feel comfortable enough to stay. And when I get people who say, I went to the clinic and I went to one of your doctors, they were so great, they helped me out, I really like talking to them, that's what we want to hear. And that's what community health care is all about. So that's what we're working for.
Ms. Grieber, you mentioned geriatrics. I had a meeting with Dr. Andrew Bratman back in 2006 because we were talking medical school and all that stuff potentially for the territory. And he said, you know, where you live, y'all need to look at a specialty. And one specialty that I would suggest would be geriatrics because the elderly population, they would consider moving there because of the weather and all that stuff. How real was that suggestion from Dr. Bratman to me? I mean, just on the surface, the value of it in terms of what attributes we have here in the Virgin Islands that could work to our benefit in terms of attracting medical professionals and what have you.
Well, I think there's a very real aspect to that, but quality health care is very critical for the geriatric community.
That's what he suggested as well.
Yeah, their issues are complex, and that's one of the things that I really respect about all of the providers that we have at the Rural Health Clinic. They have a good understanding of how to treat the whole person and looking at who are the caregivers, who are, you know, encompassing all of that. What is their environment, and how can we connect them with community resources that can support them?
Because one thing, what he had used was Arizona versus California, right? Arizona is a big state for retirement resident community in Arizona, Scottsdale, Mesa, you name all these different towns there, right? Big residential areas for retirement. He was thinking the Virgin Islands, St. Croix, we could look at that, right? Because, we got a lot of land that we could develop here and all that stuff. And there's an economic component in everything we're doing in America right now. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think that's something that we need to factor in.
Right, and geriatric care here is important. I mean, they say that we have an upside-down pyramid when it comes to our population now. We have more seniors than we have young people.
Correct.
And so a lot of them here are, they work for the government, and they work, so they're on Medicare. And Medicare is something that rural health clinics really have a good hold on and how to work, and we get special rates and different things once we get certification. So being able to concentrate and provide some geriatric care is important because we have so many seniors that are going into, I mean, when you start your 60s, anybody knows that once you become 60, your body changes. It's good to go to a doctor who understands the changes.
Why are you talking about me?
You turn 60.
You could see the hitch in my giddy up, right?
He's turned 60, and immediately you start feeling different, when you're like, how's this possible?
You ain't lying. That's Aminah Saleem and Paula Graber joining us here tomorrow. The Virgin Islands Healthcare Foundation. We got the rural clinic. I got open house tomorrow. Let's talk about the specifics of the open house tomorrow when we come back.
Okay.
Ladies, glad to have you here in the studio. We'll take a break and be back right after this. And we're back here. Analyze this. Privileged to have Ms. Aminah Saleem and Ms. Paula Graber joining us from the Virgin Islands Healthcare Foundation. We got the Rural Clinic open up tomorrow. During the break, I was thinking, let me ask this question, Ms. Graber and Aminah. Suppose a young person, and we have an obligation to look out for our young people and provide opportunities for them. Suppose a young person was listening to Analyze this morning, Ms. Graber, and they heard you call off all those names who work in the facility, and you mentioned doctors and nurse practitioners and all that stuff. Suppose a young person listens to the show and comes into your facility and says, Ms. Graber, I want to get into healthcare and that profession, and I want some guidance in terms of direction and all that stuff, but foundationally, what do I need to do to put myself in a position to be a nurse practitioner or even long-term be a governor? What would your response to them be?
Well, my response would definitely be that you got to make sure that you really want to do this profession, because one of the pieces that we focus on is serving the underserved. And so I think there's got to be a commitment to that. And I would say that they need to start out really taking some courses that can help them to explore the the medical field in general, and just seeing if that's a fit for them.
So you're saying that this shouldn't just be a job. There has to be more there than just a profession.
Right. And I think that's something that I see in all of our providers, is that they're very committed to the community. And that's critical in our work. And especially, I think, here in the Virgin Islands, because healthcare is, and not just here locally, but nationally, it's kind of a hot mess. And so, you need people that really understand how to navigate the system and don't work in silos. And I think that's one of the pieces that we really add, is that, we're trying to bring behavioral health or counseling in with, our in the rural health clinic with your primary care. So they're working together and understanding, what's going on for you as a whole.
I mean, you've done work in a number of different agencies here in the Virgin Islands, most recently with the RT Park, or the young people at UVI. You want to dovetail on what Ms. Graber was talking about?
Well, yes, and especially if they come here. I mean, one of the things most people don't know about UVI, the University of the Virgin Islands, they have one of the best nursing programs out there. And a lot of the students who go to that program come from off-island, because it's also one of the most economically affordable. And so you can imagine that, but then you imagine a person graduating from one of our high schools who can go there for free and get that nursing programs. You're not going to find that anywhere else. And we want to encourage people to do that. And so one of the things about having a nonprofit is that you can go for grants, and you can go and get volunteers who want to work. So of course, if we find some young people who wanted to see what it was like to work in a rural health clinic, we would have volunteers, maybe, and let them work as maybe interns in the future. But it's getting the fact that this is our community and we have to take care of it.
Open house tomorrow. Give me some details.
Well, we're excited. It's the open house, ribbon cutting, and people said, well, you already opened, but we opened, but that was really a soft opening. We are now, our application's being accepted. We thought by now, if it wasn't for the shutdown, we would have already had the certification, but we're confident that we're going to have that certification in by January. So this is the ribbon cutting. The governor will be there, the commissioner of health will be there, and we'll be celebrating the fact that we are the first rural health clinic in the Virgin Islands. There are over 5,200 rural health clinics all over the United States, and they've been there for a number of years, and this is the first one ever in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And so that's important, and that's something, because it's not only, healthcare is expensive, but when you're a nonprofit, you can go out for grants. So one of the things that's going to make us eligible for is that we can go out for some health care grants that are out there, and there are many grants out there for rural health care. We can go out for grants that are about behavioral health and mental health. We can go out for grants that are about geriatric care and providing those type of services. A regular business or a nurse medical office, they can't go out for the grants because these grants are usually for nonprofits. So this gives us an opportunity to really be bringing a lot of different things here in the community, making them affordable for our people in order to be able to do this. So tomorrow, we want everyone to see our facility. We want you to meet the practitioners who are there, to see what we have in there and how we serve. We want, when people come to the Rural Health Clinic, we want them to feel like, wow, just like being in the States. Everything is there. They're efficient. They're doing what I asked. They're providing information. And we want to hear if we're not doing that also. So we want people to come and meet our practitioners and see what we're doing.
Ms. Graber, do we have the potential to be a regional leader with respect to healthcare in terms of this nonprofit, this rural clinic that we're establishing here, the first of its kind in the Virgin Islands that is already established on the mainland?
I think we're already doing that. And I say that when I talk about our renal center. I think that we provide very quality care to our dialysis patients, and I'm proud of that. And I think that our rural health clinic is going to be a model. And I do want to make sure we address some of the burning questions that we've had. Mm-hmm. One of which is, do we take PMAP? We are in the process of getting approved for that. I want to make sure people know that is definitely, when we talk about serving the underserved, that's critical. And if we can develop a model that's sustainable for that, that's a huge accomplishment.
Explain what the acronym stands for.
Oh, PMAP?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's essentially Medicaid,
yeah,
but it's specific to the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, a lot of people that were unenrolled from Medicaid, and, the ones that are still able to be on Medicaid struggle to find providers that are able to serve them in a timely manner. And so, we have our application in. We're waiting to get word on that. The other thing that we do is we are going to be offering a sliding fee scale. Our visits, if someone just needs to come in, they don't have health insurance, we can see them, and our fee is $150, but we're also going to be offering a sliding fee scale that's based on their income and allowing them to get a fee that is affordable for quality care.
Now, one of the things Dr. Bratman told me is if you're going to do a medical school, and you need to have a great relationship with your local hospital. Does that apply to VI Healthcare Foundation?
Absolutely. I mean, we have to, we want to be able to bring on people and teach them. And, the other thing that we're looking at is being a part of the National Health Service Corps loan repayment program. As a rural health clinic, we would qualify for that. And that allows providers to, work at our facility and have their loans repaid through the federal government. It's an excellent program and can be very helpful to, people that are struggling to deal with that debt. And so that's another thing that we're going to be doing within our clinic.
Aminah, you've been here literally all your life after you moved from the Northeast. And you're there where we're struggling and we get this energy crisis that's going on. Talk about why we need to fix our energy crisis to provide ease and less economic leakage. You said I don't using the tongue already.
The first time I read it, that's how I felt. That's why I said that's what happens
I
here.
love it. I was reading a political thing and they were referring to the president, the Senate, and the House as the governing trifecta. So we were using that terminology as well. But I like the economic leakage here. But our energy crisis impacting Ohio.
Yeah, it impacts all of us. For people to be able to move well, they need kind of like disposable cash. They need that money, and because of the cost of our energy, it makes everything difficult. That disposable cash. I mean, like if someone comes and they don't have insurance, and they have to pay their WAPA bill, and you have to pay a doctor bill. It's a hard thing. And so, one of the things we will be looking at in the future is how we even be able to do other things with maybe some renewable energy to keep our WAPA bill down, because when you can save money on your energy, you could provide these services in another place.
Without a doubt. No, we talk a lot of politics on the show, Ms. Graber. And one of the things that we've been having fun with during the conversation, but it's not a funny issue, it's very, very serious, is what the president has deemed the big, beautiful bill, and what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem have referred to as the big ugly bill, and a lot of it is centered around healthcare costs, extending tax breaks, at the expense of healthcare benefits and all that stuff. Should we be concerned when the big beautiful bill or the big ugly bill, whichever side you're on, goes into effect within a matter of weeks, because it's a January 2026 bill? Is that going to impact what you do for us as a people?
Absolutely, it is. And we don't exactly know how it's all going to shake out, and that's the part that's a little frightening. I think the prediction is that premiums are going to increase for insurance, and that's going to have a significant impact on, nationwide, not just here, but I think particularly here. And that's, again, another reason why rural health clinics are critical, is because it's about bringing quality care to remote areas.
Now, the president has stated, I don't want to give the money back to these big corporations. I want to give it directly to the people and all that stuff. But the reality is, it's one thing to talk about a political belief, what have you, but execution and having a structure in place to allow for the service that is required, that you would want for your constituents, that's a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely. And it's scary to hear all of these things, but I want people in the community to know that we are here to serve you and to give you the care that you need. And again, looking holistically at things. What's going on for you? Do you need a referral to, different services that are still existing and are going to remain to help you with your energy bill, to help you with, your medications that you might need? How can we really make sure that all your needs are being met? And not that we can meet everything, but we can certainly look at what's going on for you, and not just health-wise, but the whole person.
Right.
Aminah?
And it's important for us to understand that even people who have insurance, like Paula said, and rates are going to be going up. Our rates for our Cigna have gone up already here. But what I think people don't realize, that a lot of our single mothers, and we have a lot of single mothers who are working, they might get insurance, but they don't. If they get the family, if they have one child, their insurance raises up, and they have to get the family plan by a couple of hundreds of dollars. And so, for a person making $30,000 or $35,000, $40,000 a year, to be paying $600 or $700 a month for insurance because it's a family plan, because you have children, that's a lot of money.
That's $7,000 to $8,000 a year, Aminah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, these are things that are going to be happening as insurance rates go up. And so a lot of people are going to make the decision, well, I can get a single plan, but I can't get a family plan. Mm-hmm. And so how are they going to take care of the people who they can't insure? And these are why things like rural health clinics will be around, and trying to find other ways, grants that will help us be able to reduce the price maybe for those people who aren't. And we have, that's important for us to do. And people donating, that we will be going out to get donations to really help people who probably cannot afford to get their medical care taken care of.
Time tomorrow and location.
It is going to be tomorrow's Wednesday at 5 o'clock in Sunny Isles. Now, we are right there in Sunny Isles in the same building that the lottery office is in. You can see us right off the street when you're going right before Kentucky Fried Chicken, and we'll be there from 5 to 6:30. And we're going to have a short, not a lot of talking. We want to make sure people know it's really going to be a short hello, hi. The governor will speak, the commissioner will speak, and then we'll be offering you to take a small tour and ask us questions and meet our providers.
Ms. Graber, excited?
I'm very excited. I think that this is going to be, it's about bringing people access to care, and that's exactly what we want to do and what's needed in our community.
Aminah, thank you very much for making this discussion meaningful, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again in the future.
Yes, and I want to say one thing.
Quickly.
We got the grant to do this through the governor and his approval and support of this clinic, and that's why he's going to be here tomorrow, because he supported that and our dialysis center.
Thank you very much, Aminah Saleem and Paula Graber, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You got it. Talk to you tomorrow. Be good and be safe.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.